Hey everybody, this is Kate, aka Charlie.
And Haley from Clear Thoughts Foundation, and you're listening to Dementia Uncovered podcast.
More people than ever are being diagnosed with various forms of dementia, such as Alzheimer's disease, FTD, and Lewy body, to name a few.
And so on this show, we are on a mission to sit down with industry experts, impacted individuals, researchers, and a whole slew of others to uncover the many aspects that make up this awful disease, so that we can shine a light on what we as a society can do to eliminate it.
This is Dementia Uncovered. Let's jump in. Hello to all of our listeners out there. Welcome back, guys, to another episode of CTF's Dementia Uncovered podcast. So as you heard in the intro, and hopefully as many of you guys know by now, my name is Kate Finello. Sometimes you may hear me be referred to as Charlie. Hopefully, probably today you will hear that as well. That is my very endearing nickname. But they are both me. I answer to both. And hopefully, as many of you guys know, I have the pleasure of serving as executive director for the Clear Thoughts Foundation. Guys, I'm super excited to be recording this podcast episode today. It is our third one, and we have an absolutely incredible guest on with us. But before we go ahead and introduce her to you guys, I just want to take a minute and throw it over to my amazing co-host, Haley Jameson, who is CTF's founder and president. Haley D, what's happening? How you doing today?
Hi, Charlie. I'm doing great. Happy to be on officially episode number 3, I believe, right?
Yeah,
Although I was thinking about it. I am the one that gave you the endearing nickname of Charlie, and I am yet to have a nickname. So maybe CTF will come up with a nickname for me. But
yeah, it's true. Maybe a listener will come up with one. It's open to debate, guys. So throw them out there.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's very happy to be here. And as you said, excited for our guest, Apryl, which I believe I have the honor of introducing her, correct?
Yeah, so, absolutely. Quick intro.
Yes, Apryl, again, so very happy to have you with us. And I know our listeners will learn a lot from you. And I think one of the things I'm most excited about with our listeners is for them to be able to feel your passion for senior living and senior care. I know that that's been a blessing for myself and Charlie to get to know you. And every time I see you, you have such excitement and passion about this industry, and it's quite contagious. So I'm excited for our listeners to get to know you. So without further ado, I will let you introduce yourself, but everybody say hello to Apryl Garrett. And Apryl, thank you again for being with us. And before we get into the Blue Book and what you do for a living, why don't you tell everyone a little bit about yourself personally and why you have a passion for senior living and senior care?
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure chatting with both of you as always. And thank you for the kind words. It's really sweet. So a little bit about myself. I'm Pittsburgh born and raised. I live in the North Hills area, and I have been in the healthcare industry, probably close to 22 years now, I would say. I've been in sales and marketing for a really long time. I graduated from Robert Morris. I graduated from IUP. I have a master's in marketing and sales. And honestly, just truly always had different roles in sales and marketing in the healthcare industry. So I worked in occupational medicine for years, which I absolutely adored, worked with a lot of physicians, but also worked in durable medical equipment. I sold telehealth before telehealth was even a thing. Now it's everywhere. So just different aspects of the industry. But I always had a passion for caregivers, honestly. A lot of the equipment that I used to sell, I would generally get calls from overwhelmed caregivers in the Pittsburgh area or out of state, people calling just saying, hey, my mom's getting discharged on Tuesday from Passavant Hospital. I don't even know where to begin. Mom's going home. She lives alone. She lives on the other side of the state or the other side of the city. And I just don't even know how to keep her safe. So can you help guide me? So I feel like I'm a giant connector in this industry, and it's kind of evolved into that. But I also feel like it was a natural transition to get into Seniors Blue Book from that, because that's where my passion was from the beginning. And now I get to put that in a book. So all the resources that I've gathered and all the ways to keep mom safe at home, I basically go out and I get to collect it, and I get to learn it from every resource that's out there right now. And I place it in a publication, and I can share that with the community. So I feel like I'm, doing a good thing. So it's fun. I enjoy what I do. But that's how I got into Seniors Blue Book. It's actually a franchise. I bought into it 6 years ago, and I just had a very strong passion for what it was. It's free information for seniors, caregivers, and senior healthcare professionals. So it's really just educating them on what's available and making it just letting people know that it exists, because, the aging industry can be very confusing.
Sure, absolutely. Well, certainly, to what you shared, April, I think part of the reason that you're so, amazing at what you're doing as the publisher for Seniors Blue Book Pittsburgh, right, is a testament to your background in healthcare, right, and in the senior space, and certainly, so many different aspects about the different areas of the industry because of your previous positions held. So yeah, certainly it's an amazing fit for you, and you're so incredible at it, and you are an incredible connector here in Pittsburgh, certainly. So that is an amazing thing about you. So tell our listeners a little bit more about Seniors Blue Book Pittsburgh, and certainly how you can see this resource guide, being useful for individuals that have a dementia diagnosis, right? And for caregivers and for loved ones who are met with that question, hey, what am I going to do for my loved one? This is new to me and new to our family, and we have no idea where to even start.
Well, I think along those lines too, April, I would love for you to share, both from my knowledge as well as our listeners' knowledge. Prior to you starting the Pittsburgh Blue Book here in Pittsburgh, had you used the guide as a resource in your different professions, as you shared, in the healthcare field prior to Blue Book? I'd be curious, perhaps that's how you first became familiar with it, was as a user, and then wanted to learn more about it. And you can tell us your journey in that regard.
Yeah. So, there were a lot of questions that were just, asked there, but to answer that question,
We like to throw them all at
Yeah,
you.
we can circle back. So start with Haley's, and we can circle back. No, there's no rush. There's no format to this. So whatever comes to your heart is fine.
so, to answer your question, Haley, honestly, like, I had coworkers that were out of state that were recommending Seniors Blue Book. I had never heard of this resource ever. We are a nationwide company. We're more regional. We have 30 publishers across the country. We're in 30 different
Wow.
markets. We
Wow.
never had one here in Pittsburgh. But whenever I would share with my coworkers, like, oh my gosh, these caregivers are calling me so, frustrated and stressed out, and they're looking for connections and looking for resources. And I'm like, we really don't have anything that great here to share. And it was actually a coworker out of Columbus, Ohio. He was like, check out Seniors Blue Book. He's like, see if you have one in your area. You could easily just send them one of those publications or send them to the website to learn more. I was like, how
Mm.
do we not have this here in Pittsburgh? We're in Allegheny County and Westmoreland County, some of the oldest counties, in the country. So that's really how I came across it. It's not a very flashy story. It had a franchise now button, and I told my husband, I'm like, this looks really interesting. I'm curious to learn more. So I literally clicked on the button. I found out this publication has actually been around for 40 years. So it is a very trusted,
Wow.
true publication. It is stuck to its roots from day one, which is to be fully comprehensive. Our guides here cover counties for Allegheny, Beaver, Butler, Washington, and Westmoreland. And I love that it's free. So it's free for community, free for our community. So it's free education. And it really is a compilation of anything that you would potentially need as you are either approaching into retirement, or if you're more
Mhm.
in that supportive aging age group where, you're at that stage where, maybe you do need some home modifications in your home, or you need help staying safe at home and preventing falls, or maybe considering senior housing communities. So we cover that whole sort of spectrum of, as you're aging, and as nobody ages the same. Everybody's journey is
Right.
completely different. So, you touched upon dementia. That's an issue. Staying home safe. Most, 90% of people want to stay home safe at home. I was just at a conference a couple weeks ago, and they did a really good example. They had everybody in the audience close their eyes and just visualize, you know, when you're old, imagine where you're living now, and what does it look like? Can you get
Mhm.
transportation easier? Easy. Is your house set up? Do you have steps in your house? Is it easy to get into your home? Like, really just think about, as you're aging, can you stay where you're at right now? And what kind of modifications would you need, or what kind of assistance would you need? So I just feel that, it's just a great resource to have. Maybe you'll never need it, but chances are we're all aging. You're going to need something at some point. So it changes for everybody. And that's what I really like about the book. I feel like it covers that spectrum, and people can always call me. Sometimes people don't even know what type of resources they're looking for, and that's fine. Some people don't even know the questions to ask. That's fine. They can just contact me and I just tell them. I may not have all the answers, but guess what? I work with so many experts in this industry that chances are I will know someone who has an answer, and I can find an answer for you and find services that would be able to help. So that was long-winded.
What's that?
I said that was pretty long-winded, but
No, that's great.
No, that's great.
Yeah, I'm curious too, April, from a standpoint of the Pittsburgh, because again, so you said you acquired or purchased the Pittsburgh franchise, correct, of Blue
correct.
Book.
Yep.
Prior to you doing that, Pittsburgh did not have a Blue Book then? Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah.
So all, like Allegheny, Butler, all of the different areas were not served by the Blue Book.
Exactly.
Wow, good
So
for you.
I literally built this book. Every letter, every number, everything collected. I had hand typed into this book.
Yes.
It's insane. It took me a year to create it. It was crazy.
Wow, good for you. That's
Wow, that's
quite an
amazing.
accomplishment and such a resource and a valuable tool for those here in Pittsburgh. As you said, I can't imagine, sadly, that all of us will not eventually need it. I mean, it's
Right.
sort of how the world works, right? We all age. So, eventually it will be something that'll be useful for all of us. And certainly for those that are not at that time of life now, most likely they have parents or loved ones, aunts, uncles, whatnot, that are. So it can be a resource as one ages, of course, in the younger years for their loved ones, and then eventually for themselves. And so what a tremendous asset you are to Pittsburgh. So
Thank you.
as
And
I said, it's wonderful to have you with us.
Thank you. And I truly think that, the passion came from those caregivers, like I said, because if mom has a bad fall down the steps or someone has a stroke in the family, like those events happen so unexpected. And then when it does happen, you're only in the hospital a day or two now. And then it's
Sure.
like, now what? You're not making one decision. You're making 10 decisions, and you're making those decisions really, really quick. So that's where this guide comes in. It's like, oh my gosh, now what? I need to make these decisions really, really quick. What do I need to make sure that mom's getting home, or where's she going next? And how do we plan for that? So that's
Sure.
really where, and I tell people, I'm like, just have the book on hand or go to our website, because you just never know. Yeah, I mean, you can plan this, we know you can plan everything. Life doesn't always turn out the way that you think. So you have to plan B.
That is true.
Yeah, sadly it does not, right?
Yes.
So give our listeners out there just a quick overview of some of the types of content and categories of resources they can find in the book.
Sure. So our guides are completely free to the community. They can be picked up at hundreds of free locations that I can share with you later. But basically, the general layout of the book has 3 sections to it. So when you go into the book, there's an old school sort of directory of community resources and services at the beginning of the guide. It's all listed by category in our table of contents. And it makes finding those resources very easy based on the category that you're looking for. So for example,
Sure. Okay.
caregiver support services, dementia care, transportation, elder law attorneys, Medicare brokers, financial advisors, hospice, guardianship, all that stuff.
April, if you don't mind me just interrupting for a quick second, just to make sure our listeners know, if they haven't seen the book yet, when you list those different categories and different resources, there's multiple choices within each category. Mm-hmm. Correct? I mean,
correct.
10,
Yeah.
20, hundreds, perhaps, depending on the category, correct?
Absolutely. I'm guessing we have at least 85 categories of information, and you're correct. Underneath those categories, you will find multiple options.
And do you also have it divided down geographically, April? So like if you're in Butler and you're looking for a caregiver, can you hone in on the Blue Book specifically?
So, correct. So the way that, like, you're referring to home care services. So if you do go to the home care section or non-medical home care section of our guide, it will list out different counties that they cover. So that way it's very easy to see,
right, sure.
Hey, I need a caregiver in Butler. So here's some agencies that offer caregivers. And then there's different portions of the guide that we do separate out into the 5 county areas. For example, we have listings of the libraries and stuff like that. We have that all categorized by counties. We also provide listings for all of the different levels of senior housing communities. So we have independent retirement communities, assisted living, personal care homes, skilled nursing facilities, as well as we have a section for affordable subsidized housing, as well as dementia memory care communities that have a dementia unit. So as you imagine, I think we have over 200 personal care assisted homes in the 5-county area alone. I mean, it can be extremely overwhelming, even for someone who's looking for assisted living in
Sure.
this area, to go through 200 assisted living communities to find out what would be a good match for your
Sure.
for your finances, for your mom. So we try to drill it down, make it a little easier, like I said, through counties, and specific amenities that they would be looking for. Are they pet friendly? If you have a mom that has a cat, she needs to bring her cat, got to make sure it's pet friendly. So there's just different
Sure.
things that we provide, a lot of that detail. Something else we print once a year. The new book comes out every June, and it's also available online. So you can go on our website. All of the resources that are available inside our guides, you can also find on our website at sbbpgh.com. With the website, Haley, you can actually drill down and do filters. So let's say I am searching for a home care agency, like I said, based out of Butler, that accepts private pay, and I only need, 4-hour minimum per week or whatever. You can actually do those filters. So you'll take hundreds of home care agencies and shrink that list down to maybe 2 choices. And that makes it
Sure.
so much easier for people to really dive down, what resources are available to them. That makes it easy.
In April, the digital version is free to use as well, correct?
Correct. Our website is fantastic. We have hundreds and thousands of educational articles on there. I actually pulled up all the articles today on dementia alone. I mean, it is a vast resource. And all of those articles are written by experts in the industry. And it's a collection of across the country. So you imagine we have all these different experts throughout the country that are submitting all that content. It's fantastic. It's a fantastic resource.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, we wanted
There's
to mention that, as you know, April, of course, Clear Thoughts is laser focused on raising funds to get rid of this horrible disease of dementia, right? So could you elaborate a little bit for our listeners on how your resource is beneficial for those that have been diagnosed with dementia, for the family members, specifically from a dementia diagnosis? And obviously, again, the book can be, a much wider spread, but from a dementia standpoint, if you could, hone in on that and share a little bit with our listeners how you have seen it personally benefit families struggling with a dementia diagnosis.
Absolutely. So, oh my gosh, unfortunately, this is a call that I get weekly. I mean, honestly, I get texts, I get calls, I get emails. The biggest thing that I find in this industry specific is that it's difficult, to get an exact diagnosis. It can take several years to even get the diagnosis. But there's a lot of, I guess, primary care physicians in the area that aren't really experts in this topic. So first thing you want to go to is a good physician that can actually, diagnose what type of dementia. Once you have that, it makes it a little easier to navigate in the book itself. But we do list lots of dementia care resources in our guides. Dementia consultants, caregiver support programs, all the different memory care specific senior housings available. So, when you are going through this, there's a lot of resources out there, and you can find them in our guides. And like I said, if you have a specific situation going on, you can always just contact me directly. There was a woman who contacted me, oh gosh, probably about 3 weeks ago. Her husband was recently diagnosed with vascular dementia, and she had asked specifically for, she's like, I love your book. It's 160 pages. It's a little bit too much for me, which is fine. But she's like, this is specifically what I need. So I was able to pull from, we have an events calendar on our website. So upcoming webinars, educational programs, free education and support groups. I was able to share with her, not only some consultants in the area that could help her guide through what to expect with, as he's going through vascular dementia and how he's progressing. I even know of a consultant that will actually go into the home and look at the way that the house is set up to make it easier for specific
Wow.
types of dementia, and how they can set up the house for different progression of the disease to make it safe and make them, make it easy for them to find the restroom, make it easy for them to find their way to their bedroom, things like that you just don't really think of. But again, it's just connecting with those experts. They know what to do. So there's a lot out there. It's just a matter of, connecting with them and getting the information that you need. And it can be overwhelming. I mean, I get it. If you go into Google and try to search for this stuff in Pittsburgh, it's not going to come up. But having a local
Sure.
person here, and kind of knowing, I think I have the best job in the world. I get to go out and just talk about all this stuff. It's like interviewing people. It's like, what do you do? Tell me about what you do. And then
Mm-hmm.
I'll just refer out. I think I'm a curious person by nature. So I just like, tell me what you do. How can we help people? Yeah.
That's so good.
So any way that I can help people. But yes, there are lots of resources in the guide that pertain to dementia. I wish we had more, and I keep seeing new things all the time, and I will get them in the book when I know about them. So
Yeah. Well, certainly you can definitely see your passion for it, and I don't know if I've had a chance to share this with you, April, but just wanted to share a quick um success story, so to speak, from how powerful and impactful Seniors Blue Book is. I know you were so kind to speak at our Lightning Learning event during our Dementia Awareness Month last year, and very close, dear friends of my parents actually. The wife, her parents actually were both diagnosed with different forms of dementia, and were both in the throes of a very, very brutal and quickly progressing forms, right? And they had come to that Lightning Learning event, and they had heard you speak, and there was multiple different kids in the family that were trying to come together and make decisions on multiple different steps of what to do next with both of their parents, right? Because their parents were in very different stages, and were really no longer able to live at home. And one of the sisters actually even worked in a hospital setting. So somebody that you would think would be very connected into those resources, who had no idea. They had no idea that the Seniors Blue Book existed, and had came and walked away with a copy, obviously. And they have said to me multiple times, they have reached back out just to share how grateful they were for that information, and how grateful they were for that one-stop shop where they could get all the siblings together in a room and say, okay, we're going to comb through the book and tackle these three areas, and we're going to look for the services that make the most sense in our area that are close to one of us, right? And so I just wanted to share that with you, and for all of our listeners out there, because it truly it's an amazing resource guide where you can find so many different things within. And so thank you again for all the amazing work
that
you're
I
doing.
love hearing that story. And
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
and what's wonderful too, and I mean, this pertains to anyone in, the senior generation at all, like, everybody. Sometimes it's just great to know that, like, I meet with all these companies. I meet with the business owners. I understand their passion. I know why they're in this, so, and I can honestly say this is most people in this industry are in it for a reason. They have a passion. They either have a parent that had dementia, or they were a caregiver at
Yeah.
some point. Most of them have an incredible story in why they're doing this. And for someone to be able to just call me and say, hey, I need a caregiver, or I need X, Y, and Z type of service. And I can say, call Haley, or call, Mike down the street. Like, there is just so much to, I don't want to say that it's scary to trust what's online, but I think there's just so much online, and it's tough.
I'll say it. It's scary to trust what's up.
I mean, there's so much out there right now that, just hearing that, I've met with this person. He's the owner. You can talk to him. Here's his cell phone number. There is just a trust factor there that I think just people are just extremely grateful for. Like, so that's
Sure.
that's what I do. Exactly what you said. Just, get people the information they need when they need it. Get them to people that they can trust. I mean, that's the most important thing. And I truly believe it makes the community stronger. I really do.
Well, I can share from a personal level, as you know, April, and perhaps as some of our listeners know, I, of course, went through a very personal story with dementia as well, and lost my father to FTD, a form of dementia. And he passed Christmas Day 2013, which many of you may know as well. But certainly at that time, the Blue Book did not exist here in Pittsburgh, right? And I can tell you firsthand, having gone through it, that it would have been a lifesaver for myself and my mother and my brother. I mean, all three of us were just scrambling to get information. And it's such an overwhelming time as it is, because your loved one is going through this horrific disease. And I had, little kids at the time, and you're trying, of course, to spend time with your loved one who who is struggling with dementia or whatever it may be. It was in my case with dementia, and it can be so overwhelming without having to go to 100 different websites and call 100 people to get resources. So I did not have the pleasure and to have such a wonderful resource available, and I wish I did have that opportunity. So for those that are battling it now, they're one step ahead of where I was back then, because again, that resource didn't exist here in Pittsburgh. So I feel so blessed that you're here, and so blessed that our listeners get to experience having all of that knowledge in one place and all of the resources put together for them, because it's just one less thing that they have to do amongst a million things when you're faced with a dementia diagnosis or whatever the diagnosis may be. So it's a blessing to have the book and to have you here in Pittsburgh.
Thank you. And to share my own personal story, my grandmother passed away probably about 25 years ago. We think it was Alzheimer's. We don't really know. Same thing. Weren't really sure of the exact diagnosis, but the same
Wasn't
thing
diagnosed.
ran through the entire, I don't even think they had assisted livings with specific dementia units at that time. So,
Right, yeah.
having her live with just the general assisted living personal care population and not having programming specific to dementia was a challenge. And we moved her to different communities and we eventually found a really good fit, but exactly. There were no webinars, there were no education, there were no support groups that we were aware of. So having that, just knowledge to be able to, or just to know that there's something out there that you can turn to and find webinars and education and articles, and know that there are resources out there. It's life changing. It really is. And when you're going through that, I mean, it can last years. I mean, oh my gosh, we struggled, and watched her. Again, we don't know what form of dementia she had, but oh my gosh,
Sure.
I think I was in high school the entire time. So over 4 years of watching it, her journey, and it was brutal. It's really brutal. It's brutal on everybody. So yeah, if I can make it easier and
Sure.
connect you to a resource and get you a phone number, then I'm happy.
Sure.
I always say I would not wish it upon my worst enemy. It is
I
a very
agree.
long,
Oh,
painful
it's brutal.
journey that can feel very lonely. So resources like the Blue Book help people feel a little bit less lost, and a sense of a community, and that other people have gone through it, and that they're there to support and to help. So well, in that regard, why don't you tell us a little bit, April, about how the Blue Book works in regards to advertising, and what options are available from an advertising standpoint, and how you keep the book going, and how people can get involved in that regard.
Absolutely. So we print once a year. Like I said, I have amazing sponsors that help cover the cost of the book. Paper is very expensive right now. So truly, my partners are the ones that believe in free education. They're the ones that believe in this product, and they're the ones that support me in this whole venture. So, I trust my partners. I know them. I know I know the owners. Like I said, I know the individuals. So, that's how I can continue to do this. So having sponsorships and partnerships like that is what keeps me going, and that's what keeps the book available and free for our community. And truly, it's any kind of service or business line who is looking to get in front of that 45 age plus group, just to educate them on their services, have more visibility. Our guides are shared with the hospitals in the area, so they are provided at discharge with the appropriate age group. So it's a great way to get your business out there and educate people what you're looking for. So if you're looking for visibility, I'd love to chat with you.
All right, April. So tell our listeners out there where they can get their hands on a copy of one of these amazing free resource guides that you guys have.
Absolutely. So we have them currently available at your local Walgreens stores, Shop and Save stores, Coons markets, community markets. You can also find them at senior centers, libraries, pretty much anywhere you find seniors and caregivers. Starting next year, which is pretty exciting, we're also going to be adding our books into all of the Giant Eagle pharmacies. So that's huge.
Oh,
So really,
congratulations. That's awesome.
yeah. So visit us on our website at www.sbbpgh.com. From there, you can request a book. You can also contact me directly at 412-551-5951 to request books. But Yeah, I mean, people are welcome to as many as they like. I have some individuals that call me and ask for one book, and we mail them out free. Or you can contact me and ask for a whole box of 50 or 100 books to be delivered, and you could share them with your church, your friends, your neighborhood. So they're free to the community in any quantity that you'd like to get them.
All right, wonderful. So hopefully our listeners learned about you and your passion. I'm sure they did. It's as I always say, it's quite contagious. So we
Yeah.
thank you so very much, April. We hope that our listeners have found it to be, which I'm sure they have, educational and also inspiring. Again, your passion and energy for the industry is just phenomenal. Hopefully some of our listeners will contact me with a new nickname. So
Yeah, let's hope.
Haley D. You're up on my thing as Haley D. So I'm like, Haley D.
Yeah.
oh, there you go. Yeah, the old
Lindsay's good.
Well, again, April, thank you so very much. Truly just a wonderful resource here in Pittsburgh. We appreciate your time and your passion for the industry. And I believe Charlie's going to close us out now.
Yeah, hey, thank you for me as well, April. Truly, you're such a mover and a shaker, and someone that always brings a smile to our face, and hopefully everybody in Pittsburgh can find ways to get connected to you, right? Whether they're in a point right now in their life where they need the Seniors Blue Book or not, because as you shared, right? Unfortunately, I think at some point all of us will need to utilize it as a resource. So for all of our listeners out there, remember that you guys can check out all of our podcasts on our website at clearthoughtsfoundation.org. Or, of course, if you are listening to it through one of your favorite podcast channels, we are on Spotify, Apple, Google, and a few others. April, thanks again for being with us. And to all of our listeners out there, thank you guys as well. And until next time, be well.